Welcome to Battle of the Sexes. It is your favorite crew on Sunday nights, the Battle of Sexes panel. We have E Black TV, Real Talk 87, and Mama Goddess. Say the best for last. Okay, y'all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Don't forget, as you come in, don't forget to hit those thumbs up. Tonight's conversation is going to be a little different. It's not a man versus women battle tonight. No, but we probably are going to be thinking a little differently on tonight's topic. So this week, I have to look at my paper because I forget his name. His name was Anton Ruffin. He was a security hall guy manager at a school. And he physically put his hands on a boy and then dragged his ass to class. Some people say that he did a little bit too much. Some people think that that was right. He did exactly what was right when he put his hands on that child. And I mean, when he did, I'm going to try and find the clip and I'll probably play it in a second. But we're going to discuss it. We're going to discuss, do schools have the authority and the right for any of their staff members to discipline kids physically? Okay, disciplining kids, no, I'm not talking about detention. I'm not talking about suspension. I'm talking about, do they have permission and should they be allowed within their jurisdiction to physically discipline kids? We're going to talk about it. So, oh, and he was arrested. I just want to say that he was arrested. FYI, he's out on bail, I believe, at the moment. But yeah. Okay, so who wants to go first? You know what? We always start with the men. I'm going to let the women go first. I'm going to let Nita. Well, I'm sorry. Mama Goddess. I'm going to let Mama Goddess go first today.
Well, I don't think that any adult who is not related to the child should be putting their hands on the child physically, especially an educator of any sorts, whether it's a teacher, substitute teacher, assistant teacher, cafeteria worker, hall monitor, principal. I mean, I know they used to do that back in the day, but it's 2021 and people are calling the police nowadays. I don't think it's appropriate at all. I don't think it was appropriate then, and I don't think it's appropriate now. Some will argue that, it takes the village to raise a child, and this is why we don't have what we have nowadays because the village is not even a part of the child rearing. Listen, at the end of the day, it is my child. And if some correction or discipline needs to be made, you come tell me about my child. And I will determine what disciplinary actions my child will receive for said discipline. Okay. If I feel like my child needs to have, to be punched in the chest, I'll do it. Or I'll have one of my male family members do it. If I feel like my child needs a whooping, I'll do it. If I feel, which I'm totally against whoopings, mind you. Because I just feel like whoopings are, to me personally, I feel like whoopings are a form of slavery. To tell a child to bend over and, don't turn around, I'm gonna beat your ass and be still while I beat your ass. It just feels very slavery. It's giving very much slavery to me. So me personally, once I don't want to say woke up, but because I used to get whoopings and I used to whip my kids, but on the bottom, I want CPS coming after me trying to wait a minute. But after I gained some knowledge and I grew some a little bit, when it comes to my children and child rearing and discipline, it's going to be, discipline in the form of punishments, taking things away, depending on the age, no more allowances, just other forms of disciplinary actions when it comes to my child. So in the case of this young man, I don't know. We don't know the full story and what relationship they have with each other. Maybe he felt comfortable enough to be all up in his kid's face. Me personally, I used to work in the education field with behavioral health children, so I know that you have to kind of build a rapport with these type of kids to gain their trust, so you can be able to talk to them a certain way, because sometimes not every child responds the same way. Like I can't respond to Johnny the way I respond to Tyrone. They just not gonna get it on the same level. So maybe, the relationship with the hall monitor and the young man was, they had some sort of rapport, so he felt like he could be all in his face, and that's why he felt like he could probably chest check him and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, that is not your child. Keep your hands to yourself. And had not it been recorded, we wouldn't know nothing about it. And we don't know if that's what he always does, or maybe that's she's just being an asshole and he's just having a bad day. I don't know, but I just feel like at the end of the day, you need to take that up with the parents and the principal. Whatever that child did, it's not worth you losing your job, and it's not worth you losing the respect of everybody around you, because now everybody knows about you. You all over the news, all over the internet, and you lost because of it. So that's my stance on it.
Very interesting.
I agree.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you.
We'll save E Black for last. Real talk, Eddie said.
Oh.
All right, so after watching that video, I'm gonna say this. I don't think because that wasn't a soft punch, but it wasn't no just I'm a cave your shit in type of punch either. You see what I'm saying? I don't feel like the man should have went to jail behind that. However, I'm just glad that was it. My kid, he did that too, because it would have went a little bit different had that happened. But I'm gonna say this. Um, I don't whoop my kids by any means. What I actually do, I do discipline them. What they get from me is the boot camp treatment. You see what I'm saying? They're gonna do certain exercises that they do not like when they do some shit they ain't supposed to be doing. You see what I'm saying? That's what they do. I'm gonna tire their ass out by giving them that boot camp treatment, and that's that. They know better then. You see what I'm saying? And they growing up very well now. So I mean, there's many forms of discipline that does not have to resort to, punching somebody in their chest or even giving them whoopings. You understand? So I feel like if that ain't your kid, don't put your hands on them. Point blank, a little boy or a little girl, keep your hands off of them. Leave it to the parents. Let them do that. If you ain't they blood, they kin, or anything like that, keep your hands off of them. Point blank. That's all I got to say.
Point blank, period.
Point blank, period.
Straight like that.
He did not say period. Don't add the extra period on there for him.
Period.
Period, Pooh.
Period with a T.
Welcome to Edward Smart. Welcome, Miss Lackey. I think those are the only two people that.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Dara. Welcome, 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 guys. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up. And if you can share us out, then please feel free to do so as well to get involved in the conversation. Okay, E Black TV.
Well, I watched the video and I actually was not disturbed by it. From what I seen was a young man who was unruly in school. He was bucking up to the teacher, and then he wanted to play the victim card because he was being unruly. If I was this child's father, I would say thank you, because I did not send my child to go to the school to be unruly. And another thing,
Mm,
men have a different language of discipline. The way that me and another young man can communicate, sometimes it gets physical, and sometimes you have to crumble their spirits just a little bit to let them know that they are in front of an adult, not their peers. Now, this is what I say is wrong with this American system right now. We're watching all of our youth being uncontrollable. We cannot talk to our youth. We can't say nothing. We can't correct them. We can't do nothing to them. But we send them to schools where they don't have any boundaries. You can spit on a teacher and not get any type of suspension, get returned back to the class. You can degrade a teacher and not get any disciplinary action. Children are in schools for the majority of their life, 12 years, 8 hours a day, for Monday through Friday. Where will they learn the discipline other than the how? Home. Also, when you correcting a child, you almost have to do it immediately. You cannot wait for you to get home from your job to correct them, because it becomes a disassociation from an action. This is what you teach. So a lot of times we have just gone so far. I think we should bring back corporal punishment in schools. There's a difference between abuse and correction and discipline. Like I said, this man does not deserve to be in jail. He could have handled it probably differently. It's unfortunate it was caught on tape. But if you look at other cultures, you look at our history, and you look at the direction that our children are going right now, you would see, I would say, hey, let's bring this back to where teachers are not handcuffed on their disciplinary actions.
Okay.
Hmm.
Interesting. Okay, so before I give my take, what I do want to do is play the video first so everybody can see the clip. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Hey, victoriously Shay, welcome, hon. Okay, you're listening. Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm gonna play the video so that everyone can see. Oh, it was only a short clip. E-Black, do you have the full clip?
Yeah, check the chat. Or
The full clip was short.
Hold on.
but the one without the news clip is in the chat. The one I sent in the chat.
Okay. Oh shoot. Hold on. Can you guys see that still? No.
No.
Okay. Sorry, it scared me. It showed the part again, and I was like, ah. Okay, y'all carry on while I try and find one with the full clip. Okay.
Corporal punishment. What do you mean by corporal punishment, E-Black?
I mean, basic paddling, basic ruler taps, even physical kind of exercises. That all falls under the umbrella of corporal punishment.
Corporal punishment does not sound like what you just explained.
What?
Corporal punishment sounds like, damn near death, torture.
That's what it's called. It's called corporal punishment. It's legal in about 9, 10, 12. And in fact, the ironic situation about this is that it's legal in Florida to have corporal punishment in an educational system.
And parents are still complaining. Yeah. So whether it's legal or not, parents are still suing behind that. I know a teacher actually in Florida at a school that my child used to go to, whose parents complained because the teacher used a ruler to give the child some licks, and the child went home and told his mama what happened. Mama came and talked to the principal, and the teacher was sent home for a day or two to know that, because the teacher was talked to once before not to do that because she was still doing it. And the teacher was talked to before not to do that again, and she did it again anyway. And so they sent her home because they're already explained to the teacher not to put your hand on these kids, because these kids, like, the parents can still sue, even though it's legal and all of that stuff. The parents are still going to sue because they do not feel comfortable with somebody else disciplining their child. So,
can I say this real quick? So when I was in school, right, I was a little badass in school. I ain't gonna lie. I made good grades, but I was a badass. Yeah, really. Yes, I know it's hard for you to believe that, Nita, but I was. What? You know what I'm saying? Really, like, I was a bad mother. Yeah, I was real bad. But anyway, look.
Was bad?
I still am kind of,
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
Oh, okay.
But listen. and we had, what they call corporal punishment. And I was getting, them swats that didn't hurt worth a damn. You see what I'm saying? And I was still a badass after that. So I mean, I don't think this shit even works. I think you needing to talk to these kids like you really give a fuck about these kids will help more than just popping them or
Yeah.
punching them in the chest more than anything.
But I think we need to give teachers the ability to regain respect in the classroom, because right now kids don't have any respect in the classroom. They run around, talk trash to teachers, and there's just no sense of boundaries between the student teacher relationship. We need to return back to the fact that when you got to school, you understood that there was consequences for your actions. Right now, the schoolyard is not a place for any type of respect. You're literally putting the teachers out butts on the line every single day and trying to say, no, we're going to talk to you, we're going to give you counseling. No, you need to sit down in the classroom, and when you get out of touch, you're going to get a repercussion. And if you keep doing it, I'm definitely going to send you home, but you're not going to send the teacher to jail because you're acting out unruly. That's
I'm gonna say
ridiculous.
this. Listen, the reason why these kids are just out of touch and they don't respect their teachers, because a lot of these teachers nowadays they go to school like it's a job, like it's just a job to go and teach these damn kids. They don't actually go to actually help these students out. They just go as if it's just a job and I'm gonna go home. It's just a job. It's a paycheck and I'm gonna go home. That's how these teachers treat these students. They don't want to build no kind of relationship with these students at all. That's why these students don't respect these teachers now. It ain't because they took whoopings out of classrooms and shit. That's not why. It's because the teachers nowadays act like they don't care about the students. They just
I,
care about the paycheck.
but I do think there's a correlation between the unruliness of children and the removal of corporal punishment. I think there's a direct correlation, because if you think about the classrooms that were back in the day, you you knew you not to talk. You knew when the action. You knew you had a ruler coming down the hallway, and you were studying. You had your head down. You knew there was a punishment. Now we don't have that, and look at our school system.
But why does behaviors have to be taught through violence,
It's it,
through physical touch? What happened to, I don't know, I know it's not counseling and talking, but there are other ways of discipline. It's not always why does it always have to be through violence? Like, discipline does not always equal to violence. That's how our ancestors learned, through violence, and that's what was taught to us, through violence. So
And
why can't we just break that mold or break that?
exactly, Shanita. We were taught violence, through slavery. We was getting our asses whooped every day, all that shit. And now look at us as a whole. Not all black folks, but a lot of black folks nowadays are violent, naturally violent, because we learned discipline through violence. So we want to keep that. We want to keep that shit going. Really?
But I mean, if you think about it, the corporal system got eliminated probably in the 1977, 75 era. Look at the educational, look at the spirit of the black community from that period on. I think there's a direct correlation between the fact that you cannot talk to the youth, you cannot, they're beyond reproach, and it's just the society gone amok based on the fact that they cannot have a respect in the classroom.
Okay, the clip is coming up. Okay, so does that look like corporal punishment?
That looked like that looked like that looked like a man checking a young boy. I'm sorry. I don't see nothing wrong with that. If that was my child, I'll tell the dude thank you. I didn't send him to school to sit there and stand in the hallways and be all up in your face. Thank you. Because don't waste my time coming to the school so I can check him about that. Don't waste my time.
I'm gonna say this right quick. Let me say this, and I'm being serious when I say this too. If your child is bad in school, that's because that child does not have home training at all. It starts in the home. If your child is learned that in the home, he's gonna be okay in school. I'm just being real. If that child is bad in school, that means you need to look at the parents. Look at the actual parents. What are they teaching their kids at home? Just saying, the first place you learn anything is at home.
Yeah, but the
So
fact of the matter is, a lot of strict people, a lot of strict households do produce bad children because they come to school and they learn how to punk teachers. They learn how to use the educational system for their advantage. Then they go home and they be all, yes, sir, daddy, sir, yes, sir, mommy, sir. And I'm sorry, we have to give the teachers every ability to control their environment.
Um,
Hmm.
I don't know if I. Go ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
I don't know if I all way agree with that because yes, kids do act different than when they are not around their parents and around their kids. But when you have kids of that caliber, and we don't even know what the situation is, we don't even know if the kid was indeed being as bad as it. To me, for what I seen in the clip, for what I seen in the clip, it didn't look like the boy was like, you know, doing anything to him. He was literally just standing there taking it. And then after he got punched, the boy walked away. And then the
and
guy was still following
right,
him.
He walked away because he
and
was a
Shanita, I'm gonna
boy.
say this, and just going by off the video alone, we cannot go off of assumptions on what the kid might have did or said. Just going off the video alone, you didn't see that man in that child's face telling him this is my hallway and all this shit. The most that I can assume that this child did is he's probably late to class and he's roaming the hallway. That's it. That's the most you can even say this kid did. So that deserves a punch in the chest, right? Even as light as the punch was, that's what it deserved.
Well, if you look at his demeanor,
That
the
was a
child is
hard
in a
ass punch.
the
The
child
boy
is in
very
the child is in an upright position. He's standing up to him. He's not cowering down. He's not backing up. He's not in any defensive position. He's essentially showing the man no respect. And then he's trying to act like he's going somewhere, and he's playing both sides of the fence. Nah, man,
So
you in the
so
hallway, you in the
so because the
hallway, you in the hallway with your fancy old earphones on, with your Jordans on, and you just think that you just run into school now.
so
Nah,
hold on,
get to class.
just because the kid didn't back down from that man, he's just because he didn't back down from the man, he deserved to get punched in the chest behind that.
Yeah,
That's what you're saying. Yeah,
yeah.
what are kids
man.
supposed to
Listen,
do
I'm gonna
to
tell you
adults?
what. Exactly. Kick him in the chin or something. That's all the kid really gonna do. That
And
man's
not
What
six
is
just
a
seven.
child supposed to how is a child supposed to be in front of an adult when the adult is reprimanding him?
in a respectful position. They should
What does that
always
position
be.
look like?
Usually it's usually they teach you like hands behind your back or to your side. They usually say eye contact. Becoming a child. Like,
See,
he's
Black, that child wasn't bucking towards the guy. He wasn't being rude with him. Like from
it's
that video, what
it's
we see,
microaggressions. It's
that child
microaggressions.
wasn't doing nothing. That man could have told him, get your ass to class or go to class, okay? And he probably, maybe he would have been a little bit hesitant, but he probably would have just went to class at the
No,
end of the day.
we all
It didn't
know.
deserve that big old punch to the chest. Like, what?
I doubt. I seriously doubt this man. This man was got in that child's face just because the child was just basically walking in the hall. I'm pretty sure there's a reason why he's telling him, "Hey, I'm in when I'm in the hallway, and if the bell rings, you need, and I tell you to go to class, then you need to go." So I think he turns it up a notch for a purpose. He's not gonna just do it just because, oh, you're late to class, I'm gonna start bullying you. No, we're not. I think we're beyond that visual for what we got.
So could it not be possible as well that maybe the teacher was taunting that kid too? We don't know. It could have been for weeks. We don't know because the child doesn't look like he's necessarily not used to this man screaming at him. So I'm just wondering, can that also be a situation? Because not all teachers are golden. I'm just gonna be honest. Not all teachers are golden.
Yeah, I agree. But from the way that he was talking, it sounds like the kid was just really being disregarded to the fact of authority was in his face and that he was being told, "Hey, you're gonna be late to class," and then he just acted like a fool. If you look at the child, he has
Let me
necklace
look at this
on. He
video.
has a gold necklace on with Jordans and earphones, and he has probably like a Supreme backpack. He's
What
spoiled.
what does that
Hold on a
mean?
second.
Hold
Are
on,
you
hold
He's
on,
just
hold
he's a
on.
little
What does that
spoiled
stereotyping?
mean?
Wait a
He's a
minute.
he's a
So hold
little
on, E Black,
spoiled brat.
you are stereotyping this kid just like other people stereotype us for what we wear. You're doing the
Right.
same thing.
He's a child in school and he has
What
all
that
this
mean?
material. He has all this material stuff on him, and you can
So
just tell it's
Okay.
so
His
just because he
parents
entitlement.
wearing
probably
all this, he got a
live.
right to get punched in the chest.
No, because of his behavior, he got
His behavior,
punched in
you
the
didn't see his
chest.
behavior. You didn't
I'm
see
pretty,
it.
I'm pretty sure. I can tell aggressive behavior. And when he got punched in his chest, he did exactly what children do. I'm gonna go to the office. You punched me, playing victim.
What the fuck?
I would go and tell the office too. You think a teacher gonna put his hand on me and he ain't allowed to do that? You
No, this is
must
what
be
happened.
out of your mind.
This is what's wrong with today's society is because back in the days we used to have teachers you being able to put their hands on the kids
I
now
say
and now
this. The only thing I disagree with about that video, the kid, let's say that was my son. That kid shouldn't have went to the principal's office. He should have just called daddy. Daddy would have been up there in 5 minutes, less than that probably. I'm just being honest.
you would have
Damn
defended
the
your kid.
principal. I don't care about that.
You would have defended your kid because he was being unruly
No,
in school.
listen. You don't. First of all, you don't know what
You don't
happened, so
know
you
that.
can't keep assuming that he did something wrong. For one, and if he did do something wrong, yes, I would chastise my kid. But at the same time, that grown ass 6'7" monster is gonna get his ass whooped too because you don't touch my kid. I don't care what the fuck he did. You ain't touching my kid.
I'm sorry. This is the reason why we cannot talk to our youth because we wait until we're waiting till parents correct it. No, you have to correct bad behavior immediately. And that's how it's always been.
E
We've
Black,
always taught
you are acting like the only way to correct bad behavior is by hitting. Why do you believe that? Why do you honestly believe that?
no, because it takes if it takes to that situation and does warrant it, then yes, you should be able to whoop. I've always said this. I've always told when I bring up
E
my
Black, that
kids,
wasn't a whoop. That was a punch to the
Oh,
chest. That was a punch to the chest. That wasn't
Dre.
no
And
whooping.
that was in
what
my
All right.
state. I'm so ashamed.
but what
Listen,
I've
I just
always
watched the video again. Oh, wait, was it? Hi, Dre. I just
Hi.
watched the video again, and hmm, hmm so wait a minute before we start. I don't want to be triggered, so I want to say, hey, Dre. So
No.
before, I just watched the video. Jay, petty for petty. Watch your back now. Um, okay, E Black. I can see what you're saying a little bit with the kid. Kind of, I ain't gonna back down. I'm still standing here. All of this to say he was doing all of this in the video and he wasn't really, whatever. I guess that provoked the man in some kind of way to make him feel like, oh, but you're not gonna talk to me that way. You're not gonna man up at me. I'm bigger than you. I'm gonna show you that I'm bigger than you. Boom, punch you in the chest. Now let's go.
I'm about to watch this video again because I don't see
I
it.
see it a little bit, but it still does not warrant you as a licensed professional. Like I get you care. You all about the kids, you child-rearing and being a man and not going stepping you as a man. Okay. But this is not your child. You do that when y'all on the street, not when you're in an institution where this sort of thing is not allowed.
because that's
Right.
the point. It
I have a
needs to
question.
be allowed. Now, just one last point. If my child is stealing something and Miss Johnson from down the street sees it, she has every right to check him, check my child. She has every single right to check her immediately. That's because I do not raise my child. My child is part of a village. My child is part of a community. This was how we used to do it. Now all of a sudden we're so scared to even talk to children. Now my child got to wait for me to come back home, and she's probably gonna mix up the story. She's gonna make herself the victim, and it's gonna be no. You have to understand that in life there's danger all around, and the community cares about you, and they're willing to discipline you. You cannot wait for your parent to come home to be disciplined. They're not the only disciplinary person in your
I have a
life.
question.
Go
Now,
ahead.
who sets the standards for physical discipline?
I think it's just implied.
So if your daughter were doing what he was doing, would you allow that for that man to chest check her the same way he chest checked her?
Well, that's the difference. That's because
So there's my
that's a
question.
man. That's a
So,
man. That's
so
come on now. We understand the fact that
but
two men talking to each other, or a man and a boy talking to each other, is different from a man and a girl talking to each other.
but that's why I asked. Then who sets the parameters?
I think
Because at that point it
it's
becomes
implied.
subjective. So now, if somebody makes me that more upset, then the pain can be that much more inflicted. So what I'm saying is, if we are going to allow corporal punishment, right? Who sets the standards and what's appropriate for corporal punishment? Because if we look at so I'm not saying that I'm against it, even though I am. But let's say I'm not against it, right? Who sets the standard for that? So for this monitor who punched this kid in the chest, that would be appropriate for him. But for another teacher, what could be appropriate for them is smacking a kid in the back of the head. What's appropriate for another teacher may be taking their sneakers and throwing it out the window. So who sets the standards for what's appropriate corporal punishment? Because then if we go there, right, then there's got to be strict standard sets. And then we got to identify what's appropriate for separate genders as well. It becomes extremely complicated. So now,
I agree.
So now it's like, okay, because here's the thing about corporal punishment in school, right? If a teacher doesn't like a specific student, they can draft up stuff that's not true, right? And could abuse this child. We have teachers who, as Real said earlier, are only there to collect a paycheck. They don't want the headache. They don't want to care about the kids. They just want to teach and leave. Any teacher, right, who disciplines, or parent, adult for that matter, discipline to educate the student, not to show them that the teacher is in charge. Because at that point, the discipline breaks down and it's no longer about educating the student. It's about the teacher's pride or the adult's pride. So when Real said about relationships, that's key. Because like in my class, right, I'm a goofball in my class, right? But my students know not to behave, talk to me any which way, because Mr. Harrison will go from, oh, he's mad cool, to, yo, please don't let him yell like that again, like, please. And to the point where, and I have a decent relationship with, many of my students. I'm not going to say all, but many of my students, to the point where my look's a little bit different. If I see them doing something they're not supposed to do, I will give them the disappointed face, right? The stern face, or the, if you don't stop that right now, there's going to be dire consequences type of face.
Hey, Andre.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. See, a lot of us as grown-ups, not me, because I know there's a lot of smart kids out there, but a lot of grown-ups think kids are stupid. Kids know what teachers really care about them and which ones don't. The ones that they know actually give a fuck about them, they don't act up in their classes like that. They respect them. You see what I'm saying?
I'll give you an example.
It's always go ahead, Dre. Go ahead.
Because I was going to say, I'll give you an example too.
There's a teacher that retired last year from my school. An elderly lady. She has to be maybe 5'2", right? My school is that school. PS 78 resides on the corner block of a New York City housing project. This school is a school that teachers really don't want to teach at. Okay. She retired last year, taught 5th grade. 5th grade is no joke.
No, it's not.
She never raised her voice, none of that stuff. She had heavy hitters in her class. Okay. Heavy hitters in her class. Heavy hitters in the 4th grade who was getting suspended left and right. She had that class on lock. And them students didn't want to mess up anything. She wasn't mean. No corporal punishment. You know, the kids that were getting in fights every other day in the 4th grade were still struggling academically, but the class was manageable. You know, and that's because they knew that she cared. Old white lady with a class full of Black and Latino students. Relationships are key. So
You know what?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Last point. Discipline, right, means absolutely nothing, no matter what kind, if relationship's not strong. That's it.
Facts. And I was going to give another example.
Did Nita agree with me? Thank you. Just want to.
Dre, don't start her off now.
We need to clip this.
So, what I was going to say, my little example or whatever. So, I used to teach behavioral health children, as I said before. There's this one student that I had. He was one of the most unruliest children in the classroom. He was in 4th grade at the time. Now I think he's in the 7th grade. And to this day, he will still say that Miss Whipple was my favorite teacher. He so much so that he sought me out on Instagram just so he could connect with me again because I was his favorite teacher. There was 2 teachers in the classroom, me and another young lady. And the other young lady, you can tell she was just there for a paycheck half the time and she really didn't care. So they felt, but she really did. But because of her teaching style or whatever, they didn't really too much, flock to her, but they always flocked to me. And they rarely disrespected me. But this particular student, anything I said, he did. I didn't have to holler at him a whole lot. And most times I had to come to the defense of the other teacher. And I had to be like, to him, you better not do this to her. You better not talk like this to her. You better not say this to her. You better do whatever she tells you to do. And he would do it. But if I wasn't in the classroom, she gets all the disrespect. It went so far so that he had threw milk on her. But he would never, ever do that to me. Never. And it's all because of the relationship that I built with him. He just felt so connected to my mind's going back into memory lane, but he was so connected to me, and I didn't have to punch him in the chest. I didn't have to use corporal punishment. I used positive and negative reinforcements to reinforce good behavior. I didn't have to get all up in his face. Maybe there's sometimes I had to talk to him stern and bring the mama out of me and talk to him like I was his mom, because half the time, so that's what sometimes these kids need, is some sort of parent figure in their life that they obviously are missing at home. When that's the case, I'm not saying that's the case for all kids, but in his cases like his, he was missing that, and he just flocked to me. I don't know how many times I done blocked this boy on Instagram and Facebook, and he's still using other names and other pages to find me, because to this day, I'm his favorite. He would say to any and everybody, Miss Whip was my favorite teacher. Now I can talk to him because I'm not in the school board anymore. But before that, I had to block him because the teacher-student relationship only needs to exist at school, not offline, because they're going to find it weird and stuff like that. But I'm cool with the parents and everything like that, so they're cool with it, with us, talking and stuff. But he, like I said, he would say to this day that I'm his favorite teacher, and that's because of the relationship that I built. And I didn't have to punch him in the chest or get all up in his face to make him do what I say he needs to do. So it can be done. And like Taylor May has said, she said, where can I find it at? Something along the lines of, let's be honest, some of these kids.
She said, let's be honest, most times when an adult hits a kid, it's out of frustration or anger.
Right. And who's to say if that boy would have bowled back at him, probably would have hit him back and not walked away, that probably would have been a whole nother situation. No, ain't no telling what this grown ass man would have done to this child out of frustration. I get it, kids can take you there and they will make you want to, but you have
They
to
really
be the
can.
adult in the
Right.
situation and walk away or get somebody else to tend to that. There's been times when I've been spit on by these kids and I had to walk away because I would have lost my job. Okay, I would have lost my job. But and what I, in a sense, there are no real punishment for these kids. So in that regard, E Black, I do agree with you. There's no real like consequences because the kids feel like they can do whatever they want and they utilize. So I can, call the police if you touch me, you can't touch me, stuff like that. But in the same breath, that still does not warrant you as the adult to put your hands on somebody else's child. Just
I
I
just think
think
that
I
I just
think
think
for
it's a
me,
cultural thing.
I don't think it's a cultural thing. I think my thing is, had that man not punched that boy in the chest the way that he did, I probably would have been like, I probably would have let him slide. Like, grab him up by the back with the bag and take his ass to class. Okay, because he's probably acting up with whatever he's been doing today. Okay, I could probably give the man a little bit more of a break, but it was that hard grown man punch to the chest that had the boy go backwards and that you could hear on the video. That I'm just like, yeah, no,
mhm.
I think there's a thin line. And I just don't feel that you can cross it. Now, if he wants to get in his face and tell him, like he did at the beginning of the video, oh, this is my hallway. When that bell goes off and I see you in this hallway, this is my hallway. I said, oh, okay, you like your hallway a bit too much, sir. But, taking that hallway serious.
It is not that child. That's the only job he got is that damn hallway, honey. Apparently,
So it means I'm
Nah,
like,
this is
okay.
my
Serious.
hallway. The third floor is my hallway between
my
12
hallway.
and
Ain't
11.
nobody walking in this hallway after the bell rings.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to be in
Rep your
class.
set.
Fact. But yeah,
But
I don't know. I feel that the punch to the chest was terrible. I don't think that that's acceptable. And if
I
I
don't
had a
think it was
child
that
and a teacher
bad.
did that to my child, what?
I don't think it was that bad because like I said, I played football and you should see how football coaches are. They will slam the helmet, they will push you in your chest, they will
But that's a
pass
game,
you
E
down.
Black. That's a
That's
part
not a
of the
game. There's
game.
still
That's a game.
education.
That's
It's still an
expected.
educational environment, and they're still children. And the only difference is that the harshness of football is respected, so you can respect a coach that has that type of mentality. So that's the only difference. You don't respect the educational system and the dangerousness of that system, and so you don't expect that to be taught to a child or that action to be brought to that child. And I don't think it's fair. I've seen it in basketball. I've seen it. I've played on basketball teams. I've seen it in so many different other educational environments where physical contact amongst men is acceptable. Don't
We've
we've
all
just
seen it.
So I,
demonized.
That's not that
yeah.
you can't compare the two, man. We've
Well,
all seen that. I played football, man. We've all seen that. Come on now.
Okay, so what's the difference
I just
then?
don't see how you don't think that it would be a better situation for parents to handle their child, like rather than a teacher doing it. I just don't get it. I'm so confused as to why you think that it's
Because
okay for
it
teachers
takes a
to put their
village to
hands on your
raise
kids.
so I know
Okay,
First
some
of
and
all,
what
students.
if?
first of all, it takes a village to raise a child. Your Whether we like to believe it or not, your children are not just your children; they're the community's children. And we've gotten so far beyond community parenting that it's unlikely. Like, oh my God, how would you
Oh,
put our hands on somebody else's children that's not yours? We've been done. This is not some nuanced thing. We've all corrected children in our community, and they're all been butt whoopings handed out, and then
okay.
we always hear the story.
If I
Oh, if I
may,
got in trouble and Miss Johnson seen it, she'd whoop my butt, and then I get home, and then my parents whoop my butt. That's where it came from. Now all of a sudden we do not care about that stuff.
If I
And our
may.
children are a reflection of what's going on about it.
Not
Go
my
ahead,
kids.
Dre's
Dre.
My
voice
Go
is
kids.
ahead.
so
They
Right.
don't.
soft.
So the thing about discipline, like I know of students, and Shanita, I'm pretty sure you can co-sign with me. Because you
I'm
like
not doing
agree,
that anymore
you
tonight.
like
Thank
agree,
you.
you like agreeing
I,
with me. But
I'm done tonight. Thank you.
no, but in all seriousness, right? I know students whose parents will beat the living sugar honey iced tea out of them if they act up in school. Right?
No, I don't know that.
So okay. Yeah, you do. So and so some parents are really harsh with their kids, right? Really harsh. They know they know that if they do bad, right? They're gonna get whooped. That still doesn't stop many of them from doing bad in school.
Mm, I don't know if I agree with that one.
I've
I
had
agree with
I
that.
agree.
I
I
so
do.
agree.
I can give you an example, right, of my first year teaching. Okay, my class was off the hook, off the hook. I had no clue how to manage a class, no clue. Like my class, when I mean was off the hook. Right, head was spinning. I called mom up one day. I'm a parent up, right? Parent came to school, right, and she said, "You know what I'm gonna do to you when you get home, and you still acting like this?" Just like that, lip turned up and all. And you still act like this, right? My first inclination was, "You ain't gotta
Uh
wait at
oh.
home. I'll turn my back." I don't know what's happening. What was that, Miss So and So? You needed help with something, you know? That was my first inclination. Like, listen, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Right.
You know.
The
So,
parent
like,
do it.
the discipline aspect is now again. Um, toward the end of the year, I was able to manage the class because I was a wet behind the ear teacher, but I developed stronger relationships with the students to the point where I had two of I made I developed a close relationship with two of my heavy hitters, right? And I made them classroom enforcers. So now if anybody else acted up, I would be like, "Yo, I can't say their names, but listen, can you handle that for me?" And they took care of it, you know. So there's some kids who are disciplined physically, and it still won't stop them from acting up.
Because it'll also reinforce more violence because they're
Yeah,
getting beat so much at home.
yeah.
They feel like they're defenseless at home because they always getting beat by their parents. So they come home and try to be the bully to somebody else because they get their
At
ass whooped.
school.
Violence
So
beget
Yeah.
violence, and when is it going to stop?
you're conflating violence with discipline. It's not the same thing.
It's
Discipline is
the
discipline.
same
And you're
thing.
equating discipline with getting punched in the chest. That's not discipline.
I
That's not what that is.
I guess
I know.
I'm just
So
not
let me ask you
that.
this,
Touche.
Black. Let me
Touche.
ask you.
Real talk.
I know that was smart. That was smart of you.
I
Yeah,
like that one today. Well done.
yeah,
I really can't believe
yeah.
that these two ladies on the panel are agreeing with me finally after a year of being on this damn show.
Can you just
We
take
They
won't be
the
next week.
real
position
honestly,
list?
they've
Why do you
always
have
agree with you, but
to?
their pride wouldn't allow them to admit it.
You know what?
Hi
Y'all
V,
just
hi
enjoy
V,
it for a week. Enjoy
hi
it for
V.
1 week. That's it. That's all I have to say for y'all.
You
Enjoy it
can't
for
see it.
one
You
week.
can't see it, Mama Goddess, but I'm winking.
You can't see it right now, Jay, but I'm giving you the finger.
Hey, I can
Hey, I
see
can
it. I
see
can
it.
see
Oh,
you.
okay, you.
So
Anyway,
E black. Okay,
I
go
have a
ahead, Nina.
question.
Go
Oh,
on. I had a question too, but go ahead. You can go first.
okay. So when it comes in regards to discipline, what is the discipline the same if a grown ass man were to do that to a little to a girl?
I
The
think
same type of
see
chest check or punch in the face or
you guys are equating, like I said, you guys are equating discipline differently. Discipline is like, as a father, I do not punish my daughter the same way as if I had a son. So that
why
relationship,
is discipline?
that
Discipline is discipline.
no, it's not. It's a relational component towards development. So when I talk to a young girl, I'm not going to speak to her in the same manner that a grown woman would. A grown woman could be more aggressive. You guys can actually slap the little girl in the face and say, listen up, you're not going to talk to me this way. But if a man does that, it conveys a different message and a different discipline. So that's why it's like you guys are trying to play this point to where if a grown man hit a girl, it's violence. Yes, that is violence. But a woman and another young girl have a different style of relationship. This is two males in a disciplinary situation. So
So
treat it as such.
you'll let a grown woman hit your daughter then?
If she deserved it, yes.
Okay.
You
Ooh.
don't know who they are.
If my daughter was out, if I send my daughter to school and she's bucking up at a grown woman, not listening, being unruly, she has every right because I do not send my child to school to just be unruly. We
If
don't
your
have a lot of
child,
time, and
if
it,
you're not
it's,
sending your child to be
and we're not going
unruly,
to
your
wait
child
until
won't
I
be
get
unruly in the first place. You was doing what you're supposed to do as a parent and taking
no,
care of your child,
no.
what your child's supposed to do. Your child's not gonna be unruly
You you guys
to
you
the point
guys
where she needs to get slapped in the face. She may do a lot of talking and playing and stuff. It's like
Stop the
that,
harm.
normal kid stuff, but not to the extreme of her getting slapped in the face.
like I
If
said
she was
this.
having, if she had the right type of parenting going on at the house.
Like I said, you guys said it yourselves. Children are smart. They learn their environments. So they know what they can get they know that what they can get away with. So in this situation, this young man was taking advantage of the scenario situation. And if I had a daughter, or if my daughter was unruly, and it got to the point where a woman would have to do that, I'm pretty sure there would be a different level that the young woman would have to be taking it. This is not the same, you guys.
I don't know if I agree with that,
I'm
but
sorry. Whenever I leave my
Uh,
look, I tell everybody all the time, if you see my daughter or if any of my children are out of line, you have every right to check it right there. I don't
I mean,
play
I
that
would
game.
check
I do
it,
not
you
but
play.
I'm
can
not
I
gonna
check
put my
it. You
hands
can
on
check
it.
it verbally, but you don't need to put your hands on my child.
no check them just like my parents would do me. They gave the same speech. If he act up over here, you have every right to whoop my ass. I'm conveying that same thing for discipline. And I
Listen,
never had disciplinary actions in school because I've always respected my teachers, just like I understood that they were adult figures. We're taking away the disciplinary on the adult side.
but there's a way to do it because I used to stay in the hood and hood kids would do what hood kids do. And being the adult in the situation, I'm gonna handle it or check the child, but I'm gonna also find out where this child stay and go to their mom in the house and tell their mom and them, you ever be a snitch, tell their mom and them what they doing so their moms can correct them. And they respect you more for that because they're not gonna try you anymore. They're not gonna try their kids anymore. And
Yeah, but
I'm a true testament
we're
of that
talking
because
about
that
unknown
happened.
children. We're talking about unknown children when and unknown parents.
I
We're
don't know
talking.
these kids. I didn't
Oh,
know these kids. These kids were right here running amok, doing their thing, and I went by all around the houses to figure out who these kids belong to. Does your child look like this? Does your child look like that? I did that because it needed some straightening, some straightening need to happen. And I went and I found out who these kids belongs to, and I told their parents, "Hey, your child is doing X, Y, and Z." And they said, "You know what? I appreciate you coming here and telling me that." And they handled it. And then from then on, when those kids see me, they will not mess with me or talk to me any other type of way because they understand the mutual respect that the parents have. I didn't have to put my hands on and yoke them up and drag them to their mama house and try to figure. I didn't have to do all of that. I went to the parents and let the parents handle it as the
Yeah.
adult because they're not my kids. And I would want the parents to do the same thing to me. If they see my child like they're acting up, come and tell me, "Hey, I see your child doing X, Y, and Z, and they said da 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 da, they did da 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 da." Then I would handle it. But I don't need for you as the adult of the not my child to put your hands on my child and say, "Hey, I had to do X, Y, and Z because your child was doing X, Y, and Z." No, what you had to do was come and tell me. And that's what I would do. And there goes
this
your mutual respect. And then this is how you develop communities. They don't have to be developed through physical abuse,
like
aka discipline.
I just think I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. I just believe differently. I really do. I believe that children need to learn to respect adults, and if it takes it to that level, and if it's warranted, you have every right to discipline a child. I do believe that, like you say in your instance, hey, I understand in your instance, you might say, hey, little Johnny kicked the can over, and I'm going to tell your parents. Those are situations that can happen. But when you create relationships, then you become a staple of that community. Then it becomes okay to have community discipline.
Can you please keep calling
But
that? Quit calling
even
that discipline. Let me say this real quick.
okay,
Stop calling that discipline. All right, go ahead, V. I'll finish after you done. Go ahead.
Y'all
so
scared to
I
whoop
just
kids? I'm sorry. Y'all scared to
It's
whoop
not.
I'm
I
kids?
not
don't
scared
have
of
to.
no.
it's
No.
not
I'm not
scared of
scared to
whooping
whoop
kids.
kids. It's just that I
Mm-mm.
don't do it. I'm not scared to do it, but I don't do it because I got a different way to discipline my kids, and that's called boot camp. Front lean
Okay.
rest position, get your ass down there. Okay, just stay there for about 5 minutes. That's how I discipline my kids. The front lean, and y'all don't know what the front lean rest position is, that's the push-up position. Stay down there 5
So
minutes.
so
That's how I
nobody
discipline
Damn,
nobody
them.
had to get nobody on this had to go outside and get a switch.
they gonna be
No,
fit.
I got my listen.
I
I'm
I
from
got
New
never
listen.
York.
had
Hold on, E
to.
I'm
black,
from
E
New
black,
York. We
E
don't.
black,
No,
E black, E black.
Go
I got my ass.
outside.
Listen,
Hell
it
no.
don't listen. I got my ass
that's
whooped
abuse.
when I was a kid by teachers, my mama, everybody, and I still ended up bad as hell. That shit don't work.
I respect that. I respect that.
Look, Eli, in this situation, this scenario with the teacher and how he touched this child. Now, imagine, right? Imagine if that child had some kind of health condition or some kind of something, right? And the how hard he hit his chest brought that out, and the child maybe collapsed or did something. Then what? Then what happens? Because you never know. And that teacher probably didn't know if he does have a health condition or not. What do you think those parents are going to feel like, or how are they going to react to that? You don't know because you don't have, that's not your child. So therefore there's a liability now on the school and that teacher for their actions. That's why I'm saying it goes way beyond just, oh,
The
I'm just
only reason
disciplining
why
him because he does this. You don't know what that could next, what that can do to somebody. You don't know.
the only reason why there's a liability is because it's more than likely against the law or it becomes civilly a liability. But if you give the empowerment back to the teachers, it would not be a liability.
Teachers are empowered to develop relationships with their students, though.
Yeah, I agree. I trust me. I'm talking about beyond the relationship. I'm talking about when it becomes carnal, relational issues. When men and young boys have to be set down. I'm talking about that. Once the relationships have been taken away or stretched out beyond repair, you have to have this methodology, in my opinion.
I don't understand how teachers can't gain respect by the way they speak to people, by the way they speak to their students. I feel that that's an amazing
V, I agree with you. I do
trait
agree with
to
you.
master as a teacher. If you're gonna be a teacher, you should master how you speak to kids and talk kids down for them to be able to respect you
And
as
I
that's
a
why
totally
teacher.
agree.
CV, and that's why I said earlier, she need to stop it. I do agree with V this time. I do agree with her.
What
A
is going
lot
on
the
this
most
episode? This
respected
has been.
teachers are the ones who have a good relationship with their students and act like they care about their students. Those are the teachers that really you have little to no problems with their students.
I
So
feel I feel
that's the
like I'm
truth.
on I feel like I'm on the Avengers right now. You guys are totally combining forces to we're having V and 86 Real Talk 87 agree. Mama Goddess agreeing. Harrison Family Vlogs agreeing with Shanita. What have I done?
No, no.
What?
Wait. She agreed
E
with
Black,
me.
listen. Hold
She
on.
agreed with me.
E Black, listen.
Ah,
Hey, it's a
I
foreign.
don't. I don't know what
Listen,
you're talking about. I did
it's a
nothing to say it.
foreign concept on this show for me and V to agree on anything. It's foreign. Trust me, I'm
Absolutely.
surprised too. But it on this episode is happening. So
Yeah,
hey,
I
that
am
means it gotta
so
be some
proud
Okay.
of
merit
you
to it.
guys. I'm so proud. But I agree. I agree because what I used to do, I used to be a facilitator in this high school, or I would say one middle school and we used to go to different high schools and we used to teach programs, and I learned.
Did you ever chest check any kids like that?
No, because I knew my relation. I knew how not to allow a child get to me. I know how to deflect the child's aggression. I knew how to kick a child out respectfully. I know how to listen and learn. So I understood how to manage male relationship, and especially it was men, young. I shouldn't say men, but they were young men. So we would go to different schools, and we had a program where we take a girls group and put them in the girls, and they have women teachers talk to them, and I was part of the men's group. So I'm in Oakland at alternative schools teaching young men for an hour or so. So I had to learn how not to let this type of stature happen. But I knew that the children knew that they had their limitations. They knew that my limitation was physical. So I was like, okay, I learned how to deal with it. So I never allowed them to get to that point.
So I'm lost and confused because I can't understand why you think that Anton was okay in what he did. And yet you even said when you was in the position, you knew how to talk kids down and not to get there with them. So why is it that Anton can't do the same thing? Hey, Amaya, welcome, hon. Why is it that he couldn't do the same thing? This is where I'm kind of like, no, like
what I'm saying is that he shouldn't lose his job for male to male activities like this. I don't think
his ass should lose his job. You must be out of your damn mind. Yes, he don't think so. Lose his job. You know why? Because he doesn't know how to control his temper and he doesn't know how to act around kids. You should not be in that position if you don't know what you're doing.
I'll say this for something like that, yeah, he should lose his job, but I don't think he should have went to jail. But yeah, he definitely should have lost his job. I agree with that.
I don't see. I see this just like a ruler on the hand. It's just a different way of culturally. Like he punched him in the chest for a reason. There's a point that he's conveying to this child. So I'm sorry. I just think that this is more or less male talking. This is male speech. This is male bravado. This is how they're conveying, talking to each other. So, you know, like I said, if he did that to a girl, yeah, then I'm gonna have probably a serious more problem because there is no traditional way of doing that. There's nothing.
So what would be an appropriate way for a male educator to discipline physically a young female?
That is tough. How do you discipline women in any situation? You really don't. You just really you don't discipline like.
Here's what I'm saying.
I'm done.
Here's what I'm saying. Listen.
You don't.
Final thoughts, anybody?
Hold on, man.
You usually get another woman.
Now hold on, because listen, E-Black, every time stuff like this arises, you always talk about what other cultures and other nations do. You always do that, right?
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I'm gonna say this now. This don't correlate to that, but it kind of does in a sense. There's a lot of countries in Africa. If a wife talks back to the husband in the slightest bit, that husband got the right to abuse, slap the fuck out of his wife. So would that be okay for this to happen in America?
I mean, you're talking about.
I wish y'all would try. I really wish
you're
y'all
talking about adult relationships, but I mean, like, you're also talking about different cultures too. So I'm gonna.
You brought up different cultures and how they handle what they do.
If you
in the school system, right?
If you want to equate other cultures, student relationships, we can talk about that. But you're talking about physical domestic violence. It's kind of.
That's why I said it's not the same. It's not the same instance, but it's still you. Every time things like this happens, you bring up what other cultures do. Okay, I'm also bringing up what other cultures do when it comes to relationships. So it's pretty much the same thing.
Other cultures, they whip the kids. They have corporal punishment. Other countries.
So
China, India, Nigeria.
I'm not saying they don't. They do. What I'm saying is you bring up what they do with their other cultures. They have cultural punishment. So if you want to adopt that, you always want to adopt what other cultures do to benefit your argument. So if other cultures abuse their wives just because she's talking back to the husband, would that be okay for us to do in America? That's my question.
Oh, so you want
Hell
me
to
to say that
the
if
no.
to apply a whole bunch of other stuff of culture to our
Anything,
culture?
any argument that you present, any argument you present, you bring up what other cultures do. So if you agreed with what that culture does with abusing their wives just because she talks back or whatever, you would think
In
it would be okay for us to do as well if you actually agreed with that kind of culture, what they do in their relationships.
I usually bring up parallels in activity. So if you're talking about male-female relationships in terms of domestic violence, then no, I'm not going to cross those parallels. If you're talking about how in different cultures they discipline their children, yeah, we can correlate that to here. You get what I'm trying to say? I'm not going to correlate domestic violence with child
Okay.
discipline.
So my thing is this too. Let me say this too. Other cultures they believe in corporal punishment in the schools and all that. But these same other cultures also have very bad. I wouldn't say citizens, but extremist groups and all that. You got ISIS, Al Qaeda, and stuff. They grew up in that same culture, and yet they still grow up to be terrorists. So how does that
Hmm,
work?
hmm, hmm.
Well, if you look at how Mosul ISIL is I, I don't want y'all to get demonetized, but if you look at the extremities, most of these people are coming from very poor, uneducated background. Most of their soldiers don't have a reading level. Most of the soldiers are not educated. Usually, gangs, violence,
I don't
lowliness
agree with that. Like a lot of
come
these
from uneducated.
soldiers, listen, a lot of these terrorist people, they are very educated. I will put that out there, but go ahead,
They're
continue.
smart. They're smart, but I would doubt that they have a lot of
Educated, not
education.
just smart, but educated. But go ahead.
Okay, I will say this. I will say this. Some of them get radicalized after during college and stuff. I will say that. I'll give you that. But effectively, what I'm talking about is the American educational system as it is right now is not as structured as a lot of other cultures are, and you you will be damned if you go to some of these schools and the kids are out unruly because they have the right to discipline them. They know that the parents know that the teachers have them. They're disciplinary. So I'm talking about just classroom behavior. That's why I like those other schools. That's why I like other cultures, because if you go to the other cultures, they're in line, they're not messing up. Yeah, you got kids being kids, but for the most part, when they're in class, they're learning,
So
and
E
that's what
Black,
we need to go. That's what we need
Hey,
to get back
Robin.
to.
did you actually just like you research other cultures that has corporal punishment for in their schools and everything? Did you actually look up other countries who don't have corporal punishment and how their citizens are now? Did you look that up?
Nah, I'll be honest with you. No.
You look that up. Okay, you didn't look it up. Okay, that's cool. At least you're being honest. Look it up. Look at what countries they are and find out how they are as a country right now. Because I don't think that goes hand in hand with how they citizens act growing up. I don't think that goes hand in hand, to be honest with you.
But we can't just keep looking at. I begrudgingly agree with Real Talk 87 King of Content, who has nothing like. I begrudgingly agree with him, saying that we can always look at other cultures as what they do, what they deem as appropriate, because we don't live there and we don't carry the same values. So we can say, all day, well, they do it over there. Well, that's what they do over there. I'm sure over there feel like they could be doing some things that we do over here, but it's not going to be the same because they are not Americans. We are not them. That's like comparing a white household to a black household. Well, they over there in their house, they do X, Y, Z. Well, that's what they do in their house. We don't do that over
Do
here.
that over here.
Okay.
Facts.
So you can't always
Well, the thing
compare.
is that we used to. That's the thing. It's not like I'm saying, hey, we're going. I'm not saying, hey, let's try something new with corporal punishment. I'm saying is that, hey, we used to have corporal punishment. Our classrooms used to have more control. They used to have more of a teacher student relationship, respect, and boundaries. And we got rid of that. Now you see the results of it. So all
So
I'm
E
saying is
Black.
that
But
So
I
hold
don't
on.
even think that that's the. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say this one thing. So you think because since they don't have that no more, you want to blame the kids? Like you want to blame the kids instead of the teachers? Just not giving really a damn about the kids. You rather just blame the kids because they acting like this and that, but don't want to blame the teachers for
Or
just
the
wanting to
parents.
collect a paycheck and that's it.
I think I think it's a balance between the accepted children's mindset towards their classroom. So I think based on the fact that students understand that there's no repercussions, there's no threat level, they can curse a teacher out, they can spit on the teacher and still be in the same classroom the exact
There
same
is
day.
repercussions though.
There's not
Well,
repercussions. I'm telling you, these
I
kids
guess
do not.
Yes, there is.
I would ask
These
a
kids,
question.
these kids do not. I've seen it. I've seen students throw stuff at teachers, get sent to the office. They can't reach their parents, and the next thing you know, they're going straight to their next period. No repercussions
They
for
can't
any of
reach
their
their
act.
parents, so that's something wrong with the parents. It has nothing to do with the
Facts.
child in the classroom.
But it's a function
Why they
of
can't
the.
reach their
It's a
parents? Why is
function
the
of the
parent really
educational.
available?
It's the function of the educational system because now the student does not have any fault. The
So I have a
student
question.
doesn't
Like, do
respect
do
boundaries.
generally in white school districts, do they have corporal punishment?
Uh,
No.
I
Do
would
do white students,
I would say
No.
I would
would
almost
white parents allow another adult to spank their children or do anything of the sort?
Hell no.
man, that's
But
tough.
generally, like we go into those kind of communities, and they don't have many of the same behavioral challenges that we find in some of our own communities, right? So if we're saying we want corporal punishment in schools, who is that corporal punishment going to be targeting
Minority.
in most cases?
Exactly. Minorities.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is like I said, it is legal in most states, and Florida is included. Florida has a lot of white people.
I'm gonna say this.
So
I'm gonna say this,
I
man.
would argue that it probably I would argue that it is working either on either side. So,
I'm gonna say this because okay, you might say it's legal in most states. I don't know. Like I didn't do no research on that, but I will say this: it's not really applied to in a lot of white schools. They don't have corporal punishment in a lot of white schools. Yet a lot of those white schools don't have discipline issues, but yet our schools do. So that would be that would fall back on the parents or not, right? I mean, would that fall back
Well,
on the
you know
parents or
what?
not?
I'm not going to agree with the premise that that white schools are not having the same issues. So.
Now, what you don't have, okay, uh, as a result, what you don't have in white community, white
And just
kids
so that you
versus
guys
black
know, I
kids,
already agree with what she's about to say.
huh?
I already agree with
Oh.
what you're about to say.
You don't even know what I'm
Oh.
about to
It don't
say.
matter. I'm gonna agree anyway, Mama Goddess.
What you don't have is black kids shooting up schools in white households versus black households. That's just not something that minorities do. But it's not because a child has been beat and they don't go because they get beat, and that's why they don't shoot the schools. Because a lot of parents will say that too. Well, this child was getting his ass whooped. He wouldn't be going around here shooting up schools. Let-
Yeah, because I've heard that a couple of times too. You know,
I've
because they
heard
don't
it,
get their
but
butt
it
whooped.
has nothing to do with discipline. I just feel like the right, or it has nothing to do with abuse, not discipline. It has nothing to do with abuse because this is what this is at the end of the day. We can talk about corporal punishment. We can talk about all of this stuff, and no, it's abuse at the end of the day. And this is what these kids are doing. They're getting abused at home. They come in school and abuse other kids. And this is a vicious cycle. And when is it going to stop? I think it stopped because it was so much violence going on. It's not working anymore. It's what used to work, but this is the 21st century. That beatings don't work anymore. They didn't work with us. Shit, we still did what we need. We were supposed to do.
But we have more
it's about,
respect for our teachers, though.
did we though?
Yes,
We didn't do what these kids are doing now when we were their age, but
they're doing it worse. They are way
it's not
worse
a
than us.
result of not having, it's a result of relationships, as Dre said.
Y'all heard it first.
Black Titan said it starts at home. Raised in a non-chaotic household lessens the chance of unruly children.
Mm-hmm.
Beatings create future traumas, period. With a T. Okay? Trauma. That's, you know what?
What I say,
I
Ro?
believe.
Whenever somebody says period
With a T.
with a T,
With a T.
what that
That's a
mean?
trigger. That's a trigger for Dre, child. Let's not go there. Oh, I believe that adults hit kids out of frustration, like Taylor May said earlier, out of frustration because you don't know what else to do. You don't know how else to handle the situation. So what you do, grab a belt or a fist or a switch or a vacuum cleaner cord or a hanger and anything else you can find to hit a child with, other than having a conversation.
I got
I think
frustrated the other day, like not with my child. I got frustrated, and my tripod was in my way with a light stand, and I pushed it right out of my way because I was frustrated. But it didn't break though. It didn't break.
He
I was
hit an
happy it
object.
didn't break.
See?
I just think it's because a lot of parents who results to beating on their kids or whooping their kids and call that discipline. That's all they know as discipline. It's because they don't know any other way to discipline their kids. They didn't learn how to discipline their kids other than whooping them.
Speaking of,
so I mean, you can think of ways to discipline your. You can think of ways. Hell, experiment. Think of ways to discipline your kids without having to resort to beating them. I'm just saying. I did that, and hell, they turned out fine for now. I mean, they ain't teenagers yet, but they getting up there. You see what I'm saying? I'm working on it, and it's working for now. So hell.
I gotta get that belt. I gotta get that belt. I'm sorry, y'all.
What the belt? Why can't you just use your hand if you're gonna do anything?
Open
palm.
The
hand act. It's
right.
actually you know what?
Open palm.
The belt is actually more symbolic than the hand. The hand is actually more vicious, in my opinion.
The belt is symbolic of a whip. Yeah, that's what it's symbolic of.
That's traumatic.
Cracker. Yeah, that's what they used to call them back in the day. If you don't know.
Well, the Caribbean way, the knuckles, 2 little knuckles to the forehead. You good?
Yo, I had those.
Lord, see now.
Okay, Dre.
If I wasn't doing my homework right,
man.
My brother's father would.
Don't need beating.
and in Latin community they call it a cocotazo. Knuckle right in the forehead. Boom.
Knuckle right in the forehead. That's what you need. You gonna stop.
No, it doesn't knock you out, but it does shock you.
It doesn't.
Yeah, I bet it does. Somebody hit me dead in the forehead.
It stops you from doing what you were doing because you focus on, ow, that hurt. Like, what?
Yeah.
So we all came out relatively normal, I guess. You know.
Marley.
Speak for yourself. Hey Marley, welcome. Everybody come in. Don't forget to hit those thumbs up on your way in. Thank you so much. We're happy to have you all.
I can go live.
Wear a belt. Okay. I'm done. Okay, a shoe. Robin said you can use a shoe. Tancia. Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, but okay, look, let's wind it down. Let's go to the final thought. Yeah, I'm not. I don't like the belt.
I'm not beating my kids anymore. Once I've learned what I've learned, and I got more educated on the history of whippings and stuff like that, I changed my ways and did that.
There's other ways.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay, winding down. Let's go into everyone's final thoughts of the night. E-Black TV. Maybe I should leave you last.
You need me too? I was just a guest tonight.
Huh? Yeah, you can do it too, Jay.
All right, cool.
Jay can do
Let me
final
say-
thoughts.
Yeah.
What, Nita?
I'm
Me, Mama
surprised
Goddess.
you stayed as long as you stayed, honey. You be like sending us a little message in the chat. Somebody only got 5 more minutes, and you be leaving, child. So I'm surprised you even stayed. I mean, you ain't
It's a
came up.
Hey, school's
But
not
you
in session
stayed.
tomorrow. It's a holiday. That's why.
Oh, that's what it is. Oh, okay, child. Because
Yeah.
listen, he go live any other time, child. He can even go live from his phone, but he can't. He can't be live on the battle session.
Always coming for my neck.
Naughty
Ooh,
Black.
petty.
I think-
So, we talked a lot about things. We talked about corporal punishment. I think this young guy, I personally would like to give him a GoFundMe account, because I think, the reason why there's not a lot of men in the educational system is because you definitely emasculated a lot of men. The relationship values that men pass along to other young men, they're just different, and I'm a strong believer of using whatever methods that are necessary. Now, I do believe you do need to create relationships, learn how to have an educational conversation, with these children, learn how to talk to them. But if it does take that physical touch of a chest check, then it's okay. Nobody's gonna die from this. But a man has now lost his job. He's losing his life, and the child is going to go right back to school, but nobody's going to address the fact that he was unruly. And that's why the educational system in America is so much broken, because the students have lost the respect of the teacher. The risk of going to school and being unruly is almost nil. What are you going to do? What are you giving the children any recourse for? What, you're going to tell them to go home for 3 days and play video games? This is why we need to have more corporal punishment. We need to arm our we need to arm our teachers with and back them and give them all the functionalities that our parents had and their parents have to get these students aligned, because our future depends on it. So that's just my opinion.
Real talk, Eddie said.
Kids have become more unruly for 2 reasons. 1, the parents didn't teach them to respect other people. And 2, the teachers as a whole, not all, but teachers as a whole, stop caring about the students. They only care about a paycheck. All right. So I do not believe in corporal punishment or any other grown person, especially in a school institution, putting their hands on any kids. It's there for teaching, not for physical beating. And granted, that punch, it was a stiff punch. It wasn't just a hard punch, but it was kind of stiff. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, he deserved to lose his job. No, I don't think he deserved to get put in jail. I just don't. But I'm just glad that wasn't my son, because it would have been much different had that been my son. But it wasn't my son, but I still feel for the little boy. Whatever he did for him to get punched in the chest, we don't know what he did. We can only speculate what he did, but we don't know what he did. So, hey, that's all we can do for now is speculate. So that's a kid. You don't put your hands on kids, no matter what they did. If they spit in your face, show your best restraint if they spit in your face. I can't say I wouldn't punch a kid dead in his face if he spit in my face, because that's kind of like assault to me. I can't say I wouldn't do it. You see what I'm saying? But I will try my best not to do it, because it's hard to, you get spit on. That's, first of all, nasty. All right. That's like the lowest form of disrespect is spitting on somebody. I'm just saying. So I would show my best restraint not to put my hands on the kid if he does that. But hey, just show your best restraint. But the kid did not spit in that man's face, nothing like that. He was just in the hallway. So come on now, stop. You deserve to do your job, dude, and I'm done.
Nita.
I feel like the hall monitor guy took his job way too seriously, with him talking about how much these are his hallways. Obviously, he needed more training. Um, like E Black had said earlier, that he would know how to talk to the young man. He would know how to change the young man's perspective on things and help him see differently, bond with the guy, with the young man, and all of that. I feel like that maybe this hall monitor needed some training or something on how to deal with such situations. Um, Maybe he was having a bad day. The hallways don't belong to him; they belong to the county and to that school. I don't know why he feels like that. These are his hallways, and no kids are not allowed to be in the hallways. But it was just other ways that he could have handled the situation. If I looked at him, like he probably got some mental health issues of his own. I don't know.
He need a classroom, child.
It's clear why he's not in the classroom, because don't nobody want him in the classroom. He belongs in the hallway, and that's his job, is in the hallways, and that's why he takes his job so serious, because he know he can't be in the classroom, so he got to guard these damn hallways like it's like the pin on, because that's all he got to his name is his damn hallways. However, this the whole thing was wrong. He deserved to lose his job. I don't know if he deserved to go to jail, but he, being an emotional female, we
But dang, how do you
probably
really
would have
feel?
pushed for him going to jail. I'm just, just talking, being emotional, I think he deserves to I think he deserves to lose his job. He needs to probably go to some sort of
Anger management
classes, sensitivity classes towards children. I don't know. He just needs some help to learn how to deal with children. If he's ever worked with, maybe he can ever work with children. I don't know if he was ever to be around children. Then he, there are other ways. Beating a child, hitting them with his hands, with a belt, switch, cord, broom, shoe, hanger, any object to try to discipline a child is wrong. There are other creative ways that you can do to rear a child without the use of violence. Harrison Family Vlogs, take it away.
Yeah. So as a resident teacher in the chat, yeah. By the way, I'm a goddess on point, 100% on point. Good job. Good job. So, I think that the 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 core of a student teacher relationship is the relationship, and it starts with the teacher. If the teacher or educator or an adult can develop a positive relationship, then it will never get to the point where, even if schools allow corporal punishment, it will never get to that point. There would be no need for that. Do I agree that students should be able to get hit by educators? No. I used to get hit. I had a principal who had a paddle, who would actually paddle students and then put their names on the paddle. I used to get poked in my chest. My first grade teacher, who I love, right? First grade teacher had a whip on the back of his key that we used to get hit on our hands. I had a Spanish teacher in like first, second, and third grade who used to throw chalk across the classroom at students. Okay. So that didn't teach us anything, but we better not like mess with her. That's not going to make us a better student. We just knew, I'm afraid of this teacher. And the thing is, we were in the hallway. We didn't say hi to her. We avoided her. Relationships is key. And if you have a strong relationship, if adults develop strong relationships with students, whether you're a teacher, a parent, or somebody, if adults develop relationship with students, no matter what area you live, work in, you're going to have respect, a level of respect. And relationship breeds respect. Positive relationships breed respect. Physical discipline, not necessarily so much. All right. For crying out loud. You have I have family who are correction officers. They can beat an inmate to near breathing, right? Barely breathing, right? When they recover, that inmate's going to come back and still go as hard as he did before at the correction offices. So we look at corporal punishment and we have to ask, does it work? Or developing strong, trusting relationships with our students, is that the answer? And that's my final point.
I would have to agree with you 100%. Parents and family vlogs.
Thank you, Mama Goddess. Hashtag wink.
Hashtag wink wink.
I'm done with these two. Okay, everyone. Before I give my final thoughts, what I am going to ask you guys to do, can you please make sure that you guys have double check to see if you have hit those thumbs up, because the numbers ain't mathing right now. That's all I have to say. Okay, but anyway, let me go back to
okay, get your little Dre on then. I caught that. Get your little Harrison Family Vlogs on. I caught that one. I caught it.
You seen it? You seen it?
Hey, you be around people.
Yeah, I think I got that from somebody else.
There we go. Yeah, so personally, I think that the teacher was wrong. I don't believe that teachers should be able to use any kind of physical discipline on students. I definitely think that is definitely a parent's role, and parents need to handle their kids how they see fit. So, for instance, if something's happening at school, somebody needs to call some parents. That's all I have to say, and I don't understand why it's so different. But, you know, for a split second, I feel like the security hall manager, I'm going to call him the hall manager, because he was handling that hallway like it was his home, okay? So, the hallway manager, dude, he acted like he flipped out for a second, like he was dealing with his son or something. I don't know. Like, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Maybe this kid reminded him of his child and he flipped out for a split second and went to home. I don't know. But I definitely think he was wrong. I definitely do not think that that is how teachers should handle, or hall monitors, hall managers, whatever you want to call yourselves, staff, school staff, period, should not be putting their hands on anyone's child. I just don't think that's right. I think that's how lawsuits are done. And look what happened to this one, you know? So I just think you need to protect yourself and protect those kids, and because you don't even know what that could trigger or what it can do. So,
Trigger.
Did he deserve to lose his job? Probably.
Yeah.
Triggered. So did he deserve to lose his job? Probably. Did he deserve to go to jail? I don't know. I mean, there's consequences to everything, right? Sometimes this is your action.
He probably won't. Consequences. He probably won't do any time for it. He'll get probation. He'll have he'll go on his record that he's been, you know, a child abuser or whatever. But
he probably won't be able to work with kids again. So his career of home monitoring is probably over. Yeah. But he could monitor something else. Absolutely, 100%.
He won't be able to collect that pension. That whole
his big ass need he need to be a damn club bouncer. That's what he need to be with his big ass.
Yeah, you know what? That is the perfect job for him. I'm not gonna lie.
That's parking attendant.
Since he like to handle
like people. A parking attendant, you know.
He can be the parking attendant at churches. You know, he could be in
not if a 17-year-old's driving the car. Florida, they can get their license at 16 in Florida, you know. So I don't know.
This is my parking lot.
Facts, Black Titan.
Did I say you can park there? This is my parking lot. That's how you can park there.
Go park in the space where I told you to park. Yeah, that's
y'all. I said,
this parking pass is 2 days old. You gonna get
ignore these. For those of you that didn't get to watch the clip of the guy, his name is Antoine Ruffin. So I'll probably put it in the description box so that you guys can go search him on YouTube and you can find the clip. Like, it's not hard to find the clip and you can see the whole clip yourself. So make sure you guys go and check it out and you can come up to your own conclusions like we did. But I just want to say thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it. It's always a fun conversation. Hopefully we get more people coming up next week because we like to hear from you guys. We love you guys talking in the chat, but we love to have that one-on-one conversation with you guys up here. So don't get scared. You guys can click on the link, okay? We'll be back next Sunday. Also, Ladies Night, we'll be back this Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you guys come and hang out with us on Thursday.
Get some more of your Kim K. Get some more of your Kim K and Wendy Williams stories on Thursday nights. Same bullshit,
my
different.
apologies.
I'm playing.
And the reason why they didn't come on is because the ladies were triggered in our chat. So they were too busy triggered in a chat conversation, so they couldn't go. They couldn't go.
I thought they were.
Oh my God, Joe, you are so funny right now. Oh my God.
They might.
Oh, he had his sound effect. All right, guys, I'm gonna cut them off. Okay, woo! We love you all. We will see you guys Thursday night. Enjoy the holiday tomorrow, guys. We love you. See you next time. Bye, guys.
Later.